when you're constantly trying to do things differently, you tend to throw a lot of things in the dustbin. You know, it's the tried and true stuff has already gone through all the trials and error. But when you do finally succeed, you get amazing results. So I'm going to tell you guys about this little piece, which I am really proud of. Here we go. Welcome back. Thank you for joining again for another little episode of me showing off one of my custom builds creations. This one is this lovely little dress watch, unique kind of dress piece that I made that I'm calling Sapphire Blue. It kind of came together spontaneously, which is how the best ones do. Let me give you just a little bit of backstory. About a year ago, I purchased two vintage Seiko quartz from the 70s with the 0903 movement. One of them I got for the dial and the other one for the movement, to basically get the one with the dial I liked working properly. And then I was left over with parts, primarily a very lovely case, this one. And looking at it, and then stumbling across some lovely dials by the gentleman that has been making his name more and more in recent years, who goes by the name of Red 5 Watchworks. And I saw some of the lovely laser etched dials that he had been making, and I thought, how lovely would it be if one of his dials, if he could make one of his dials to fit into this case. On top of this, I thought, how crazy would it be to see if we could put an NH35 movement into this quartz case. I didn't know if it would be possible, but I thought I might give it a try. What I found out pretty quickly is that with a dial against the rehaut, the stem wouldn't line up properly. It would be too far down, and I couldn't fit it in. However, if I put the movement in without the dial, just resting the movement holder, the plastic movement holder of the NH35 against the rehaut, the stem lined up perfectly, the stem and crown. Not only that, the movement itself, the plastic movement holder, fit perfectly within the case. So the same exact diameter inside the case for the movement to fit. So I reached out to Ron, Mr. Red 5 Watchworks, who, by the way, is one of the nicest guys that I've ever had the pleasure to interact with on social media. And I asked him, hey man, here's my idea. Can we make a dial that is narrower than the rehaut of the watch, so the movement would be resting against the rehaut and not the dial, and then make a special chapter ring. This case originally did not have a chapter ring. Make a special chapter ring that would then hold the dial in, as it were. So he was super eager to help me out, and he, I went over the dimensions, and he's like, hey, listen, why don't you send me the case? That way I'll make sure everything is perfectly aligned, and I can tinker and get this just right. So that's what I did. Ron took his time to make sure that things fit just right. He got the laser dialed in, and he sent me back a lovely, lovely brass etched dial, and this aluminum, I think, anyway, white metal chapter ring. And it all slid in just perfectly. I had to use this domed acrylic crystal to give room for the hands, to leave room for the hands, which obviously, if you've seen my stuff before, I'm a big fan of domed acrylic anyway, so that all came together nicely. The dial he sent me initially, he asked if I wanted it unfinished, meaning that, you know, without any kind of a spray on top of the dial to allow the brass to age naturally, which is what I opted for. However, I pretty quickly realized that the aging, as it kind of progressed, the patina that it developed, I did not like where the look was going. So I went over it with a very fine, I think like 3000 grit sandpaper to get the kind of the relief parts, or at least the non-etched out parts, polished up, which left the in between the relief parts actually a little bit aged, as you can see, a little bit darker than the original. And then I gave it a spray with a basic clear coat spray paint, so just a clear glossy spray paint, and that gave it a nice little kind of shine. The little sapphire, the little stones you see, these are just traditional blue rhinestones that I purchased. I don't remember if they're like the Swarovski actual rhinestones, or if they're plastic. I don't recall where I ordered them from anymore. Probably from eBay. But in any case, so I attached those to each of the hour indices on the chapter ring, and then what I did, so I got these lovely blue Dauphine hands, I believe on Esslinger, but I don't remember anymore. I probably should have kept that information so I could share it with you guys, but I didn't. So there it is. And then what I did is, as you can see, this is a two-hander, but obviously the Seiko movement, you know, is meant for a second hand, so otherwise you'd have this gaping hole with the second hand post on it. So what I did was I actually took a second hand for a Seiko movement, and I clipped off the hand parts, only leaving the cap. And to the cap I glued another rhinestone. So if you look at it carefully, the rhinestone actually turns. So that I think gives it another cool little quirk that that makes it more interesting, and especially given how it plays with the light. Anytime I'm not 100% sure the watch is running, I take a look, and as soon as I see the light glimmer, I'm like, okay, we're doing good. So the one caveat for this is that even though the stem lined up with the hole with the case tube, the movement with the rotor was still a little too thick for this case back. It wouldn't spin inside there. So there was no way for this to act as an automatic. So what I did is I just removed the rotor outright, leaving a mechanical only NH35. So so on top of all this, this watch is just purely mechanical. It's not an automatic, which I think also gives it, I think it fits with the style. Let me just put it that way. So there it is, a nice little shiny leather, brown leather band, which I think works with it very lovely. My Sapphire Blue dress watch. I hope you guys like it. I hope you see it and think, hey, I could do something like that. So yeah, if you have any questions, feel free to ask. Otherwise, cheers.